All right, welcome to the TrashCast, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at some shows that maybe are not the best, but have some kind of merit, be they negative or positive, that we want to talk about. I've got two people here with me today. I have my friend Jason, who is being sustained now only by rage and salt after watching one of the shows. And I also have with me Alyssa, who is the queen of trash.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about 6 shows in total, I believe. Each of us picked 2. We're going to introduce them. We're going to talk about why we think they're trashy. And then we're going to talk about our overall thoughts about them. Who should we start with? Who should go first?
Oh, man. Do I want to jump into it this soon?
I think you should let your anger out, Jason.
Are you, do you want to just go for it?
I got nothing to lose.
Okay,
fine,
so in that case, tell us the title of the first show that you have to talk about.
I keep my swears. Okay, so for show and tell today.
Yes.
I decided to pick Diabolic Lovers.
Right.
So
tell us about Diabolic Lovers. What is this show about?
So, okay, I'll start from some background. So, like most of these, it's a visual novel. So,
okay,
like most, it's a hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, is Umaru Ramono considered a visual novel?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
So there you go. That's a good example of a visual novel going to like an anime, because I know you've seen the anime.
Yes, and I do very much.
And I've seen part of it, and it was, for the most part, when I've seen basically what I've played game wise. Mm-hmm. So it was good. I don't know. I was trying to look up some stuff on the game for the time I had, and obviously you can't tell an entire visual novel in an anime.
Yeah.
You miss a lot, especially if there's choices.
They're usually like 100+ hours.
Yeah, especially because also you have like the multiple different character routes depending on the game.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd like to offer the example of School Days, where
that's like another one.
3 of the romances didn't even happen in the show.
So
okay, so they're like
yeah, that's a good example as well. That's still better than this one.
That's saying something.
So you're talking about the visual novel of School Days is better than this show, or the show
in
School
general,
Days is better?
In general, like everything's better.
Oh.
So basically, Diabolic Lovers is you got this girl named Yui. I swear to God, I'm sorry if I pronounce some stuff wrong.
That's
I watched
fine.
this all this morning.
It's not a big deal.
The girl's name is Yui, and she is sent to. She's basically sent to like a mansion by her father to just live there, and it's kind of just her house. And she gets there, and she runs into like this guy just laying on a couch, and she thinks he's dead because there's no heartbeat or pulse or anything.
Okay.
And he's a vampire. Shocker. And then she just kind of starts within like the first 5 minutes. You meet all like 6 of the guys. And they're all like you can tell it's adapted from a visual novel.
Yeah, it's a reverse harem show. Yeah. It's important to know that. But...
Oh yeah.
So
So they each have very like different characters. Like they have like some similarities, but they're very different. Obviously. Mm-hmm. So you have like the lazy one that's always sleeping. You got the one that's always like studious and everything's improper and you have to be a certain way or it's not okay. You got the sadistic child, which is very interesting at times because he has his like bipolar mood swings from the smallest stuff, and they all like different. Like the possessive one, you have one that literally just calls her a bitch all the time. That's his nickname for her, is little bitch.
How cute.
Wait, like in English? Or is
he says little bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Nope, that's just what happens.
I'm assuming that you watched the subbed version of this show.
Yeah.
Because I don't imagine that it
I think they also say it. It's a weird thing. Like, it sounds like it. Obviously, I was not paying attention to
All right.
But yeah. So they all have like their own little thing, and obviously, like within the first couple seconds she's there, like the one guy just like pounces on her, and he's like, "You're mine now," and she's like, "What?" And she tries to get out multiple times.
Does
Never
she ask
good at it.
why these people are in her house?
Yeah, this doesn't seem like a safe environment her father has given her.
So she's like, okay, there's obviously a misunderstanding, and she tries to leave, and one of them's like, no, don't leave, and she just stays. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
What?
Just,
and like,
I gotta get out of here.
There's
These
multiple
vampires
red
are going
flags.
to eat me. No, don't leave. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's multiple red flags, and she just sits there and is like, oh, okay, cool. You get to the point, really, they introduce everybody. I have their names, but I don't know if I really care or not.
That's
I'll
fine.
say them as they come. There's one name in particular I was pissed at, but it's good.
Okay.
I'll bring that up.
You can say like when you talk about a particular one, you can tell us like their name and then which one they are.
You'll know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of just like so you figure out that like she's kind of, they mention it very briefly in the beginning, but they're like, oh, she's like the new bride or something, and then they all kind of like start calling dibs on her, and then she's like, nah, I'm gonna run away for the like the one time in the show. And she runs away, and she can't get out of the house, which I think is funny because I don't know how she got to where she was without following them.
Wait, why can't she get out of the house?
Okay, so she comes into the house, she goes into a room that's very close to where the front entrance is. Eventually she gets back to the front entrance, and like it just won't open. Clearly it's like locked from the outside or some vampire.
That
bullshit.
makes sense. That's how doors work.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so after a while, like she just like lives with them, and she's just cool with this. She tries to escape here and there, and it never really works. And when I say here and there, I mean like once. She tries to escape, like when she's in town. There's another point in the show where like this other vampire guy like gives her the chance to leave, and she doesn't. She like sits on the bed and like looks at a book, and she's like contemplating stuff, and then goes to see him, and he's like, "You could have left. Like, I gave you the chance to leave." Left. Like the one vampire that gave her the chance, and you learn as you go through it that like I'm like, okay, like clearly some of them are bad, but they can't all be super bad. And then you just like you have to rank them as to like who's the most annoying.
Okay.
Because like some of them are really like touchy feely.
Oh.
And then some of them are just fine. Some of them are like, oh, okay, this guy isn't that bad. And then he's like, oh, you shouldn't trust me because I'm just as bad as them, but I just don't show it. And I'm like, oh, great, so I can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
You have the moody one that like every time you say something wrong, he like punches a hole in the wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have this sadistic kid that's named Kanato. And he talks to his teddy bear. And if you talk to his teddy bear, he like loses his mind because no one can talk to the teddy bear but him.
Okay.
And he's the one that's bipolar. So like she follows at one point, for example, she follows him to. No, this is actually a better one because that was actually very mean. So he comes over to her and he's like, I'm thirsty, and I'm like, he's probably want to suck your blood. I mean, like it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'll go get you a coffee. She gets him a coffee, and he like smacks it out of her hand and like goes crazy, like ape crazy. And he's like, you're so stupid. Why would you think I want something so bitter? You're such a stupid bitch. And he goes crazy, and I'm just like. I felt bad. I'll be honest. Like, I've seen some stuff like this before. I was actually uncomfortable watching the show.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, you guys know me, and that says a lot.
You're like
you
have some tolerance.
Not many things phases me, but like the amount of abuse she like, and like she doesn't deserve. Like, well, okay, after a while, she's kind of dumb for staying.
Yeah.
But
at some
you
point,
can kind of chalk it up to like
syndrome.
But you can chalk it up to really any abuse thing.
Yeah.
But like with I don't know, it's
this
like,
show isn't actually a very thoughtful metaphor for domestic abuse.
I wish
or
it was that. I wish it was that clever. I wish it was that clever.
There should be a hotline like 1-800-GET-HELP number at the end of every episode.
Okay, so it's essentially about this girl who goes to live with the vampire boys and her various encounters with them.
So I want to say one more thing before I add to the plot a little bit more. Okay, so one character is one of the ones that calls. Well, he's the one that calls a little bitch, and his name is I'm gonna butcher this. Raito, Ruto, Raito, something like that.
Yeah,
so
like
in the sub I've watched, they call him Raito in the first episode, and then by the time you get to the last episode, it's Laito. They completely take the R and switch it with an L.
That has to do more with the Japanese pronunciation of that.
I get that
the LR.
But it was just the consistency. It was the smallest consistency, and I was just really that. I had to go back and rewatch it. I didn't have the patience to go back through the whole thing and see when they decided to switch it, because I didn't even know this until.
Wait, you're talking about the subtitles?
Yeah,
they changed.
Oh.
Yeah, the first episode was an R.
I thought you were talking about the way the characters
were
pronouncing
it.
No,
it was
it was fine.
Oh, the actual subtitles changed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, because the character's name...
Oh.
Yeah, well, he has the same name as Light from Death Note.
In the, on the My Anime list, it's with an L. And in the first episode, it's with an R. And it eventually does change to an L. But I was just it was at that point in the show, it was that much more. I was like, of course they would do that. Why be consistent? But it was weird, throughout the show, there was a small bit of plot that was okay, so it's a visual novel. So when those come out, sometimes the plot's kind of hard to fit, depending on the plot.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to fit everything inside a 12-episode anime.
We know that from Umaru-chan, which is 80 plus
insane.
hours, and there's a ridiculous amount of stuff they cut from the light.
But I feel
in
the
visual novel,
I've seen enough 12-episode animes that you kind of get where it's going and when they're going to start adding in more stuff.
Yeah, and
they started doing that here and there, but I feel towards the end of it, they kind of it was kind of like a dump. It was just and I don't mean that it was a dumpster fire. I mean more of they dumped a whole bunch of lore and dialogue on you that you were not expecting,
and then lit it on fire.
Episode they were on episode, and that's how you make a dumpster fire. Well, no, so you're saying they were on episode 10, and they were oh well, we got to have a conclusion.
It was
more episodes.
It was episode 7 or 8, and it was oh, by the way, now we're gonna get into the actual story. And then at one point there's a flashback. There's a flashback, and then you find out that what is it? All 6 of the guys have different mothers, and this guy had he married 3 different women, and they were all living in the same house. One woman had 2 children, one woman had
vampire
3,
dudes,
and then there was one locked in a tower for God knows what reason. I don't even know why.
Okay, so the vampire dudes are related then, kind of.
Yeah, they're all brothers. Just not the same. They're the same father. That's about it. But then they kind of add in this subplot where the uncle eventually kills, I guess, the father and takes one of the mothers or something. I don't know. And then the brothers, one of the mothers gets killed off by the brothers, and then the uncle dude takes her heart, so eventually he can transport it into the new bride so she can come back. And then there's betrayal. And the betrayal and the climax happened in 30 minutes if you take both episodes and put them together. It was the weirdest twist ending.
Okay.
Now the show's over. They wake her up, and she's oh, I'm thirsty. I'm guessing that means she's a vampire now. And then immediately it cuts to all the good endings for each of the characters.
What? Wait, hold on.
Okay, so apparently you get through this. This is how complex and stupid some of this stuff is. They threw out this. Oh my god. This is why I took notes, and I'm still tripping over myself. So at some point you realize that, like, she has to kind of choose, I guess, to be either human or vampire or some stupid crap.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, like, whoever they decide to choose for their bride...
Press circle to become a vampire.
Yeah.
Press X to doubt.
Whoever they choose to be their bride has to, like, undergo, like, this ritual thing that happens after so many times, so many days or whatever. Months, I don't know how long this is.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more in depth in the visual novel.
It's
So, but when
definitely
they
more
get
in-depth
closer,
than the visual novel.
when you get closer, like, their body kind of starts, like, to get weaker. So you kind of have to, like, survive through it.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of took the opportunity to, like, try to bring back, or, like, the mother tried to bring herself back through the uncle or whatever. And then she wanted to take the girl's body so she can live again and kind of get rid of all the sons because he kind of killed her. So, but at some point the uncle betrays her, and then everyone starts, like, stabbing themselves. Uncle gets killed at some point. The girl ends up stabbing herself to get rid of the mother, but ends up killing herself, and then they somehow get rid of the mother. I don't even know how. They kill her off somehow, I think in a fire or something.
I'm no longer following this.
No, like, this is so dumb. It's so
Yeah.
dumb. I was watching this, and...
And this is all in the last, like, 4 episodes?
No, this is the last 2 episodes.
Oh.
Each episode is
gosh.
15 minutes.
Oh.
Oh.
This was
Wow.
all in 30 minutes.
Oh, I thought this was full-length episodes.
No,
Okay,
think
so...
about it. It's all in 30 minutes. Cut out, like, about a minute and a half of each episode for the beginning, and about another minute and a half to 2 minutes for the ending. So you're left with less than 30
like
minutes.
10 minutes. Like,
You're
10
left,
minutes per
yeah,
episode.
it's less. Oh my god, it's so annoying. But, like, eventually they wake her up through, like, this magical vial that the fucking one kid just had it in his teddy bear. Don't know why he had it there, but he did.
Okay.
And then they wake her up, and apparently, like, she's undergone the ritual to live or something, and now she's a vampire. And I guess she's married to one of the guys. They kind of, like, because obviously you pick your path in the visual novel, so I guess they kind of just were like, we don't know how to end it and who she picks, so we're just gonna play the good ending to each of the guys, like you picked it, and then like they kind of show her, like, I guess, accepting herself and that she's living there now, and then the thing just ends.
So it's important to note that you watched just the first season.
Yeah.
And that there is a second season.
Apparently there's a second season, and she gets kidnapped by, like, 3 or 4 more boys, and then the other boys gotta save her from the other boys. And that's, when I read that description, I was like, nope, done. I was like, I can't.
Well,
like,
okay, because you sent me a text message at 9:30 this morning, and you said, nearing the end of Diabolic Lovers, I hate myself. And that was,
yeah.
Okay, so that's season 1 of Diabolic Lovers, I suppose. I didn't expect you to go that in depth with the plot of everything.
I told you, man. I did my research.
Yeah, you did. I don't have that much to say about either of the shows, but
here's how much I hate this show. I put in time.
So okay, so here's the question. This probably like doesn't need to be asked, but just for the sake of it,
sure.
What qualifies this as a trashy show?
I think in the realm of, like, obviously it's hard to adapt something with many endings to just have one solid ending that everyone's gonna be cool with.
There's different ways to go about it, like choosing one ending and going with that, or like Higurashi did some sort of like weird time travel nonsense or something like that. But I guess this one was just like, let's dump them all at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at it and I was like, wait, what's going? Oh, that's what this is. Because it was just weird because it just had one of the characters just there, and then the dialogue started playing, and I was like, oh, they slightly made like. I have to look up the endings to the shows and see if they just took the thing and just threw it in the show.
Wait, dialogue is in like. You mean like text?
Yeah. So
they just had like a text scroll of what happens?
I have to watch it again, but I don't know if it was like actually animated. Like actually, like, you know, they kept it, or they just took it from the game and put it into the show. I have to go back and
Oh
look.
my gosh. Okay, that's very. That's terrible.
That was not serious. But I feel like I'm not one for these kinds of things in general. I'm not like a harem person.
Yeah.
Even like the guy with all the girls. That's not. It's so dumb sometimes.
Yeah. It can be done well-ish, but for the most part, it's a lot of trash.
Okay, so it looks like they kind of animated it, but like I can see it easily being at the back of a visual novel.
Okay.
I have to look at the visual novels. That should have been something I had to look into. But
you don't have to do that much research, dude. No, nobody did near that much research than you already did. I pretty much just watched the shows that I'm talking about, and I watched them like years ago.
Yeah.
I did like a little refresher. I watched like a couple of like bits of the ones that I'm talking about, but all right. So we're back. We had some technical difficulties. Jason's mic started making him sound like he was talking through a fan, and he kept cutting out and stuff. So
It's a
we
curse.
got that fixed now.
It's a curse.
What's that?
It's a curse.
It's a curse.
It was the curse of the diabolic lovers.
It was the curse of the vampires.
Ever since that show, man, my day's been going downhill.
Yeah. You mean since 9:30 this morning? It's been about...
It hasn't even
9
been
hours
12.
since
It
then.
hasn't been even 12 hours yet.
Yeah. So essentially, while Jason was cutting out, Alyssa and I were just talking about visual novel adaptations and how it can be difficult to do one because sometimes they have branching paths and stuff like that. And you cited... Which ones were you talking about? I don't remember, actually.
I didn't say the title of the one that I was talking about, but when I was a younger person, I was probably 12, and I just stumbled upon a harem show for no reason. And Jason, I think you know this one, Usaga no Sora.
Yep.
So I stumbled upon that. I didn't know it was a visual novel adaptation.
Right.
So he went down a whole path of romance with this one girl, and then episode 5 or whatever came along, and like he just woke up again, and he like started flirting with another girl, and like a whole nother arc happened. Meanwhile, I didn't know it was a visual novel. I just thought like everyone had amnesia, and like
so like we're just ignoring
we're
what
just
happened in the first
ignoring
4
that
episodes.
these two fell in love and had a whole thing. No, that's it. Now he's cheating, and I was very confused. And then I realized that I looked it up because I was very disgruntled. And then
You were disgruntled.
Yeah. And I happened upon the knowledge that it was actually a visual novel, and then everything became clear to me.
Right,
But it
right.
was
Like
not a coherent storyline had you not known it was a visual novel.
Yeah, and we talked about how like Higurashi does that whole like time thing where it's you get to see the different routes.
Yes.
And I cited Uto Arumono, which is like a linear story where it doesn't have branching paths, so it lended itself pretty well to adaptation.
I also cited Clannad as a very good visual novel adaptation.
Yeah, so there's some VN recommendations for you.
Yes, there are some good adaptations, and then there are some that are quite terrible, as we've learned.
Okay, so now that Jason's back, do you have anything else to say about Diabolic Lovers in particular?
You want me to?
Okay, it sounds like you have a lot to say about Diabolic
I told you, man,
Lovers.
I had a list. Oh, I'll end on a closure then.
Okay.
So, I forgot all about it,
Mhm.
but, because I'm such a good sport, there is a drinking game out there.
Oh.
And, I'll post the rules in, the box underneath the video. Because I forget the
description.
Yeah, that's a thing. So,
Okay, go ahead and read for us this drinking game rules.
Okay. Take a drink every time Yui says, no, stop, please, let go, or something of the sort.
Oh.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's uncomfortably a lot.
Oh.
Take a drink every time the vampire bites or licks her, even if they bite or lick her multiple times.
Oh.
That's also a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take a drink every time the vampires comment on her fear.
You sent me this list, and I knew exactly what the show was.
Yep. Take a drink every time the vampire talks about her blood, which surprisingly is a lot. Take a drink every time the vampire manhandle Yui, grab her, shove her, etc. Take a drink every time that Raito calls Yui bitch-chan. Take a drink every time Kanato goes through a mood swing. Quotes. Every time Ayato calls Yui pancake or breastless.
Wow. All
That's
right.
one of my favorite nicknames now.
She's soft and fluffy. And loves to be coated in syrup.
I mean, that's not the description he gave. That was one of my favorite lines in the whole thing. And then you have, you have a bunch. There's 17, okay?
Yeah,
But
there's a lot.
they have a lot where it's just every time someone says this or someone does that. It's so
the one
stupid.
that I like. The one that I like. Take a drink every time Raito touches his hat.
Yeah, oh, that's the thing.
Oh.
This is just, I don't know what that means or what that refers to, but it sounds like he often touches his hat.
I mean, he wears a hat. He wears a nice fedora.
It'd be weird if he wasn't
Okay.
wearing the hat and he just kept touching it.
He just keeps it in the drawer. He walks over to the nightstand, opens it,
Okay.
touches the hat, and then continues whatever he's doing.
I'll
Okay.
say one more and then I'll close.
Okay.
Take a drink every time Kanato says some weird ass shit to Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teddy's one of the
Alright,
best
so-
characters. But
After talking about it for 35 minutes,
so
I think we have an idea.
the show
Yeah.
is good. I mean, okay, the show's not good. I'm used to saying that for other things. So
Uh-huh.
the show is interesting. I mean, obviously, I would check it out just for the laughs. It's
Uh-huh.
bad enough that you can enjoy it. If
Right.
you're going into it knowing it's gonna be bad.
Right. If
Like-
you're looking for an atmospheric gothic vampire story, dark fantasy,
Then,
that's not what
yeah,
you're
I
going
mean,
You're
for.
not-
I'm
you're
more
not.
curious if someone that's a fan of the visual novel, what they would think of it.
That's true.
Because I don't do many visual novels, and especially that kind, I wouldn't play. So
Mhm.
I'm more curious about what they thought of it.
Or if the visual novel's actually interesting or good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if the visual novel's actually good.
So
No idea.
that's gonna be my closing. Is if people know if it's good or not, then let me know, and maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
that's my tirade. My
I'm sure you have a
35-minute
lot more to
tirade.
say. I'm sure you have a lot more to say. about it.
I'll bring.
I
Trust
feel
me,
like
you'll
I
hear
don't
about
have
it.
enough to say now about my thing.
It's fine. It's
I-
fine. Jason,
Listen, man, walking into with you two, I had to be prepared, and clearly it was
All
the
right.
first time I overdid it. So
okay. So, Alyssa, would you like to go next with your first,
please,
Yeah.
your trashy show?
I think I'm gonna save the grand finale for the second one.
Should've
Okay,
did
that's
that.
fine.
I'm gonna go for my first choice, which is Love Tyrant, or in Japanese it's Renai Bokun.
Okay. I've never heard of this show.
This is it was a spring 2017 show. I have my anime listing up, so
Okay, so it's pretty recent.
Yes, it's pretty recent. I've completed the show. There's only one season. It is adapted from a manga. I was reading through some of what people were saying, and apparently they fit the entire manga series into this one season.
12 episodes?
Yeah. So there's 12 episodes, and they fit an entire series of manga into 12 episodes. I didn't know that watching it.
Is it a short manga or how?
No, it's actually not it's not a whole saga, but it's apparently like a decent size, and they've squeezed it into 12 episodes. So, given the pacing is very strange in the show.
Yeah, I would assume.
The basic premise of the show is it's like a parody of Death Note, except it's like a kiss note. So
Okay.
this angel who's like a
kiss people and they die?
No, that would be great.
Okay.
She basically, you write two names in the kiss note, and then they're destined to be together or whatever. They're destined to kiss, and then they're
okay.
So
I
that's
see.
the premise, right?
I thought it was like you go around kissing people and they die.
No, that'd be great. But no, it's just like writing two names together, and then they be like one of the opening scenes when he first meets the girl who has it. She there's two prime ministers talking on TV, and she writes down their names, and then they start making out on television. It's very funny.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So this show is actually it's pretty funny. You should kind of expect garbage going into it because it's a fan service comedy parody type of
keep your expectations
low. But I had a lot of good laughs out of it, honestly. Basic premise, this angel, she's all edgy, though. She's not, light and fluffy. She has, black hair and fangs, and she's all edgy, and I don't know, whatever.
Okay, but she's a angel?
Yes, she's an angel, and she's kind of, not, the best one. She's, not, up the ladder of promotions. She doesn't perform terribly well, so she has to come down to earth, and, she's performing her job and stuff. And she just has to, make couples, Cupid type of thing.
Okay.
And
alright, I see.
She is, a yaoi fanatic. She's, a fujoshi.
Okay, yeah.
So, what happens is the main character, he's going about his boring protagonist life where he's like, I'm a boring guy and I can't find love while he's brushing his teeth. You know, the basic... monologue in the beginning there, and then he's like, it was all boring until one day, and then this girl just is banging on his door, and she busts into his house, and she's like, I spelled this guy's name wrong that I wanted to kiss another guy, and it was your name, so now we're fucked.
Okay.
So she comes to him and she says, she had, she didn't pair him with anyone, because when she spelled his name wrong, she was like, shit, I spelled it wrong, so she just didn't even, finish it. So she came to him, and she's like, I'm gonna give you the benefit of choosing who you want, but he misunderstands at first, and he just kisses her, oh, I'll sacrifice, and whatever. And he, gives his first kiss, and she's like, what did you just do? That didn't even fix anything. And, and then she, but she has to couple him with somebody, because if she doesn't do that soon, she'll die, and he'll be a virgin forever, because he won't be able to pair with anybody, or something. It's a very terrible premise.
Listen, it sounds more
It gets worse.
than anything.
It gets worse.
Okay.
So then, he's like, oh, I have this crush at school. She's, this popular. She's a redhead, by the way, which always puts her up on the ladder.
God, I love her.
Yeah. She's, so she...
So you haven't seen the show, Jason, right?
I know
honestly,
people on the show.
The girl that I'm about to bring up, she's my favorite character.
Okay.
So, she's a tsundere, and she's a redhead. So or not tsundere. Ooh. No, I don't like those. Yandere. She's a yandere and a redhead.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you don't know she's a yandere at first, though, because he's like, I pick her. I have a crush on her. She's the most popular girl in school. And Guri, the angel's like, okay, sure. So she goes and, writes her name, and then this girl is like, they, fall in love or whatever. And then he mentions to her at some point, I totally forget how, but he mentions that he kissed her, alright, Guri, the angel, because it was an accident. And she gets really angry and tries to kill Guri.
Okay.
And somehow, I also forget this because it's so wacky and meaningless. Guri's name ends up as an, them. So now it's a 3-person relationship. And Guri is in it now. And because Guri's in the relationship, now they're all temporary angels and they're all immortal. So this opens the door to, now the yandere can stab the main character as much as she wants. and he won't die.
They're not gonna die?
No, he won't die. So there's several shots of the show of her just stabbing the shit out of him, and he's just
Oh
like,
my
this
gosh.
hurts, but I can't do anything about it.
I've seen a few. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
It's actually very
Okay.
funny. Like, it's good. And then we learn that she has a half-sister, Akane, the yandere. She has a half-sister that's obsessed with her. And her name is Yuzu.
Okay.
And Yuzu now is upset that her sister that she's in love with, like actually in love with, is in a relationship with a guy. And when she finds out that the love note or the kiss note, she could put her name on it, she steals the book and writes her name on it. So now they're all in this relationship.
Okay.
Because she wanted to be with her half-sister. So
Right.
now it's this 4-person relationship. And more random shenanigans ensue. Because we have Akane, who is yandere, obsessed with the main character. The main character is just the basic white canvas, I don't know what's happening, boring protagonist. And
right,
then
we have to have someone be the protagonist.
Yes. And then Guri is like this BL, like insane, like trying, like her whole thing is
Yeah.
her character arc is she's trying to like mature and figure out what love means, because in order to be a good angel that makes good couples, she has to know what love means instead of just like, haha, this would be cool, and like puts people together. So that's like kind of the plot, I guess, but
But like that's not important.
the show. And then you learn like Akane comes from like this like weird like family that is like samurai, and Yuzu's family like is like a shield or something for that family, and they like have a feud where they don't talk to each other, but she like stalks the sister because she just wants to know what that part of her family's like, because she's not supposed to know. And you like kind of learn parts of them, I guess, and there's some sort of character development, but once again the pacing is very strange. So there'll be like an episode
Oh yeah, that's right, because they had to like cram
Yeah.
a bunch into.
there'll be an episode like full of fan service and comedy and nothing happens, and then the next episode is like mashed full of plot. It makes no it makes no sense at all.
Wow. Okay.
Then they introduce like some weird side characters. There's the Yuzu and Akane. There's her cousin, who's this really sadistic person who gets off on like stealing people's love or whatever. So she like kidnaps the main character and like ties him up, and like I don't know, it's weird, and like is pretty much like being very nefarious toward him. And then the girl
Being very nefarious.
Yes.
That's what she's doing.
And then the other girls come and like save him or something. I don't know. She's really creepy, and she's just not a good person in general. There's just some weird side characters. There's also, I don't even know how to explain it, there's a rapey penguin. It's a giant penguin that sexually assaults the
giant
one
penguin?
girl, and it's just unexplained. But it appears like 3 times.
Fan service.
It's terrible. I
It's
never.
fan service, man.
Yeah, I guess. But it's just weird. It's just the
Oh,
giant
wow.
penguin.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
Did you look it up?
Oh, of course. I have.
Yes, it's very strange.
Oh, he has a voice.
also see
It has a
penguin.
voice. Yeah, it's weird. There's just a lot of nonsensical shenanigans, and it's very incoherent. And it starts off as like a fan servicey parody, and then it like rushes some sense of meaning at the end of it, and it doesn't have any.
Okay.
It's kind of garbage because there's no substance. It's just all comedy, and there's not really much character development. The characters are all very stereotypical. They're very flat.
Yeah.
You know, it's very. They pretty much took.
It sounds like it's
stereotype-
played for the jokes.
Yes, it's a stereotype and a parody, and they just put them into one show. They took a harem show stereotype and the premise of Death Note and parodied it and put it into one show. So
Okay.
it's
And also crammed like
and
a bunch of manga
crammed
into 12 episodes.
some weird kind of plot and spent way too much time on fan service. So I mean, I went into it not expecting much. and I got some laughs out of it, but the art is a little lackluster. I've definitely, for a spring 2017 show, it definitely lacked as far as artwork is concerned. I loved the opening, though. The opening was great. It was actually one of my favorite openings of any anime show ever.
Wow.
Yeah, which is weird, but I love the opening. It's great. It's just there's absolutely no substance to it. It's nonsensical, and it checks off every stereotype in the book.
Gotcha.
So it is what it is. If you expect something with no substance, that's what you're gonna get.
That's exactly what you're gonna get, and you might be surprised by how
it turns out.
Okay. All right. So you would recommend it to someone looking for what?
Something. I would recommend it to somebody who just wants to sit down and turn off their brain for a little bit. I know there's a lot of animes out there that I enjoy that I get tired watching. There's so much happening that you kind of get exhausted if you sit down and try and watch it for so long because your brain is really focused on it.
Like paying attention to everything.
Yep.
So this is like, I don't have to pay attention.
Yeah, there's no substance. It's just kind of to laugh. So you could just kind of turn it on. It's a good time. There's nothing really offensive in it. It's not anything like that will make you angry, like Diabolic Lovers. It's not good, but it's a good time.
Sure. I think that's the spirit of trashy shows, you know? It's not good, but it's a good time. Or a bad time.
It's only 12 episodes, you could just knock it all out in one sitting.
Okay. Cool. Is that all we got to say about, what is this?
Love Tyrant.
Renai Boku?
Yeah,
Love Tyrant?
Mm-hmm. I guess so.
All right.
I mean, there's not a lot of substance to the show, so I suppose there's not a lot of stuff to say.
Jason sent me a picture of the penguin.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jesus.
I'm gonna look it up again to refresh my memory.
Oh, it's quite nice.
Just when I was not expecting penguin.
So I love how
it's
you can
very
easily
creepy.
explain a show in like 15, 20 minutes. And not take 35 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know that was possible.
You're talking about this show not having that much substance, and I'm here on the Mal page, and half the characters on the front page just have no biography written. It's just like they didn't fill in anything for them.
That's a picture of when the Prime Minister started making out on television.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
So yeah, there's that.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, there's also a little sister character, and she turns into a different kind of angel at some point. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the first show that I have to talk about today is it's not a harem show, so this will be our first non-harem show. It's called Heavy Object. It's a 2015 show by JC Staff. And Heavy Object is, I guess you could call it mecha, kind of. So essentially the premise of this show is that there's we're in the future, I guess, and people used to fight wars when they would like shoot each other and like drop bombs on each other until they invented these machines called objects, which are basically so when I say a mecha, you probably think of like a Gundam style humanoid shaped chunky robot with a this is, imagine a bowling ball with tank treads and then just like gun barrels stuck all over it. That's what objects look like. And they're like super difficult to take down, and they're like the most advanced warfare. So like war is now, instead of having troops shoot at each other, they have two people piloting objects shoot at each other until one of them gets destroyed, and then the person that wins, and they win that battle. So battles are basically just like duels between objects at this point. And So when I first was going to watch the show, I was just like, well, that looks like kind of a cool mecha show. Like, I don't know, I'll watch that. And that's not at all what it is. It's, I guess you could call it like a comedy kind of, but it's like, it almost makes me want to say it's sort of like a buddy cop movie, because the show's main course is the two main characters, these two dudes whose names are Quenser or something, and Havia, and they're soldiers. One of them is like a soldier, and one of them is a mechanic, basically, and he's here to like learn how to fix the objects and how to like build them and stuff. And it's about how they just by weird luck and stupidness managed to like take down an enemy object like without their object. They just like do like stupid crazy like operations, and they go and like blow it up or something. And you know, and it's all about how like unfortunate they are, how like they're stuck out. This show starts in Alaska, and it's freezing cold, and they have to shovel snow, and they're eating military rations which look and taste like erasers, and how they're just like so sick of everything. And so, you know, every couple of episodes they'll have like a main thing going on where they have like, you know, their object, and there's like an enemy one in the area, and they have to deal with it. And the first time they end up taking it down, they're just like, dude, we're gonna be like war heroes. We're the first people to ever like destroy an object without our own, and we're gonna be able to get out of here. We're gonna be able to like go home as heroes. And of course, that's not at all what happens. Instead of that, the military's like, these guys are the only people who've ever done that, so we need to put them somewhere else, and then they have to do it again. So basically, every like 3 to 5 episodes is like a change in scenery, where the first, you know, they're first in Alaska, and then later on they're in like Australia, and later on they're like in the middle of the ocean. And so every time they think they're gonna like get out and not have to do this stupid military job anymore, they just get stuck somewhere else. And there's like basically 2 other recurring characters, which is the princess girl, whose name I don't remember. I have to look this up, actually. I don't remember her name. Melinda is her name.
Of course.
But I think they just mostly call her Princess, and she's the pilot of the object that they hang out with, basically. And it's like an outdated model or something like that. And she doesn't have much of a character, really. She's like really deadpan most of the time. And then they have a commanding officer who is, I'm going to use the term top heavy. And you can make inferences based on that. And so the 2 dudes are usually like drooling over her, and then she like hits them with things. And so it's basically this team gets like shipped to different parts of the world to fight the enemy objects, and it's always like dumb luck that they end up surviving.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah,
I don't want to like derail.
This is not a lecture. This is a conversation.
I don't want to derail, but when you said top heavy, I thought of like a really muscular guy that's top heavy.
No,
he has really tiny legs.
Yeah, like he skipped leg day like way too many times. That's all I thought of, and then you were like, but she keeps beating them off. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like this like hulking dude with tiny little stick legs. He just keeps falling over.
I'm sorry, the other show destroyed my mind. Continue, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. So that's basically the dealio. But it's not the best in terms of like art or animation or production quality or anything like that. I will say I watched like a little bit of it today to just sort of refresh myself, because it was a couple years ago that I watched this show. And I actually forgot. I thought it was 12. It's 24 episodes. And I was like, wow, I don't remember it being that long. So that means I had something of a good time with it, because it didn't feel like a drag, I guess, at the time I was watching it, at least. And I noticed in watching it earlier today that some of the environments are actually really well drawn. I think they're really kind of cool looking. At least when they're being still. When the objects actually go to fight, then it's like a CG like landscape with like a blurry texture put over it. It looks terrible. Especially when they're like fighting in the ocean, the water looks awful. And whenever there's an explosion or like a smoke from like an explosion, that is also CG and it also looks awful. And I would say the sound effects are really bad too. It's the kind of thing where, like, you know, the object will like shoot its like laser guns and it will make this like sound that like makes you think that your headset is malfunctioning. So it doesn't exactly have the kind of impact that you'd think. But ultimately, I chose to talk about this show today because I actually finished it. And I don't watch a whole lot of trashy shows. I'm typically not the kind of person who, you know, finds it super fun to like watch garbage, unless I'm with like friends, because then it's like a blast because we all get to like goof around. But if I'm on my own, I'm typically going to be watching something else. But I actually finished this show because it was, despite all its like dumbness and you know, stupid things like that, it was fun. And it was fun to see these guys just who are like the most unlucky guys just getting stuck in weird, awful places in the world again and again. So yeah.
So I got a question.
Yes.
As someone that has recently got into more mecha shows,
Yes.
like you had Gunbuster and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been watching some mecha
How
lately.
does this hold up to, like, I wouldn't say, like, obviously it's on the same level, but, like, how does it hold up, like, out of the mecha shows you have seen?
Not well. Not well at all. And if you're a fan of mecha and you've you know, if you've seen Heavy Object like around, not like watched the show, but like, you know, seen like a title card for it or heard about it, it's not what you want to watch if you want to watch a mecha show, I don't think. It's a show to watch for like the, I guess, the comedy of it, the like obnoxiously dumb guys just doing, and you know, the one guy who I guess is sort of like the main character, like the two dudes are like the main characters, but one of them is a little bit more, he's supposedly like really smart, but he's dumb. Like, they're all idiots. But it's like somewhat likable idiots, I guess. Just like scraping by, doing all these ridiculous military operations and stuff like that. Yeah, the princess girl is not really that interesting. She's really kind of like deadpan, and is also like the subject of a lot of like fan service. Like I watching the first episode, the first time you see her in the entire show is when she's in the shower.
Of course.
So, you know, just to give you an idea of like where that goes. But it's not like, it's stupid and kind of annoying, but it's not like terrible or offensive. As far as I remember, anyway. It's been a little while, and I didn't rewatch the entire show to talk about it today. But yeah, so it's Heavy Object. Don't watch it if you want mecha. Go watch Gunbuster. I watched that recently. That was fantastic. But you know, if you it's enjoyable enough that I actually finished it. And I remember at the end of the show, there was some ridiculous operation going on. There was this big battle, and they played like the opening theme, which is really loud and obnoxious. And I remember it making me smile, just like, yeah, all right, here we are at the end of the show. I actually finished it. This was all right. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it besides that. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
heavy object. Pretty much.
Oh God,
I feel
I'm
like
dying.
if I had watched... Oh, lovely.
I don't know why I keep coughing. I think my throat is just dry. I apologize.
It's okay. Something that I sort of distinctly remember is that the like color of the environment changes every time they go to somewhere else. And I don't know why this stands out to me, but it's just like the first part of the show they're in Alaska and everything is white and blue. And then when they go to like, I don't even remember where. They go to somewhere around Australia, everything's orange because all the like red orange rocks and dirt. And then they go to the jungle and everything's green. So I remember the show in like chunks based on what color, like where they are. But yeah, it's not super fantastic, but it was fun enough that I finished it, which is more than I can say about most trashy shows. Which is why I decided to talk about it.
Sounds like fun.
It's all right. So that means we're back around to Jason.
Yes, to Jason.
Okay.
Man, I have nothing to like follow up on my other one. I should have been like, oh, surprise! I watched the second season in this last half an hour.
we just talked about the second season of Diabolic
Surprise! I played the whole game too. So the other one I'm picking is Umaru-chan, which I mean, what was it, 2016? Something like that? I mean, it's not super recent, but like it's not like super old at this point.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to grab my phone. That's like 5 feet from me. So
I'll look it up. It's not important.
But yeah, I mean, Umaru-chan basically is about a high school girl that, you know, she's pretty popular and smart, everything. Everyone loves her.
And she's like a totally like upstanding citizen.
Yeah, and then the second she gets home, she puts on her outfit and immediately turns into a gremlin. And all she does all day when she's home is eat potato chips, drink Coca-Cola, and play video games.
That's
Or
really
reads
familiar
manga.
to me.
Well, that's the point of Umaru. It's just like, hey, look, this is just like you, isn't it?
Hashtag relatable.
The thing is, though,
Yeah.
it is, but it's her character. So, I mean, I think there's another season in an OVA, which I never got to. But
Yeah, they made a second season eventually.
But probably not my favorite in the first. But it's mostly just her being super spoiled. So she lives with her brother, and her brother basically is a salaryman, and he works really hard to like keep everything going and whatnot. And she just comes home and is just a lazy piece of nothing. And she's just really whiny. Like if she wants something, she's gonna get it. Like the worst that she does, really, besides her being a gremlin, is whenever she's out in public with her brother and he doesn't get her what she wants, she goes into like this pouty like mood face, and everyone turns on him because why would you make this perfect thing of life cry? And it's
that's so frustrating.
Oh, it is. And she acts the same way she does in her gremlin form, even like when she's in her other. I'm just gonna say form, because at this point it's form. She transforms. So
yeah, if you
watch it,
physically
yes.
transforms.
Oh yeah,
it's like a magical girl transformation.
The thing that is weird. So she has two friends. One lives underneath them, which is the like
in the apartment building.
She's like the busty rural girl that like moves to the city and has to just kind of figure her way around, like, you know, daily life. And she's kind of like has a crush on her brother, or on like the other girl's brother. So she always gets flustered whenever like she's around him. And then you got the other girl, which is like super shy and she can never talk to adults, and she wants to be friends with Umaru. So at one point she comes over her house and she meets the gremlin form, and she thinks that it's Umaru's younger sister. And she's more comfortable talking to someone younger than her. So they kind of build a friendship without knowing that she's actually talking to Umaru. So that's just kind of a thing. And like she gets her brother to not like kind of rat her out, even though the show. But I mean, it's like a whole show where it's just her being kind of like bratty, and like as the show goes on, you kind of get her. She kind of starts realizing what she's doing, and then at the end they have the beach episode because every episode has every thing has a beach episode. She kind of learns. She has friends. Everyone's cool. The second she gets home, she reverts back to how she is, and that's it. So it's like she almost gets there and then just reverts, and it's like, well, this whole entire thing was pointless.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's also another girl that's like her rival, but like I don't know why she's her rival. It's really weird.
Okay, so that's just something that they say and then never.
No, she's there. It's just she's really annoying.
What are they rivals about? What is their
Everything.
rivalries around? Oh, okay.
Everything. Like if Umaru's
so
at one point Umaru goes to the arcade, but she's in like her not gremlin form, obviously. But she has like a disguise on, so no one knows it's her. And she meets up with this other girl that's always like her rival, but she doesn't know it's Umaru because she's stupid. And she notices Umaru's good at games, and then suddenly she's good at games. And then they have like a whole thing where they fight it out on stage. I think at one point they team up. But like, I don't know. It's like everything that Umaru's good at, she has to try to be better. So if Umaru gets like top score, she's always second. She's always trying to one up her, but never does. But
so and it's more of like a character trait to like check off on a box rather than like an interesting type.
Can you tell how much like research I put into the other one and not this one?
Yeah.
How defeated I am right now. I'm like, yeah, this is how it is.
I feel like I talked about Heavy Object for like 15 minutes, and you guys were like, "Cool."
It's fine. No, I'm not. It's mecha shows I like, but like I have. Once I looked at it, I'm like, oh, okay, so I might check it out. It seems interesting.
Yeah, it's not a waste of time.
Liam, on your topic of the princess was the subject of fan service. I had Jason send me a message discreetly that said, when I searched Heavy Object, I found this, and it's just a body pillow. It was the first thing that came up for him.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But it came up as a hugging pillow. Because that's what
my
it's
favorite
for.
part
Well, yeah.
My favorite part of that situation was I was like, here, Alyssa, don't make a scene.
I didn't make a scene. I made an event.
You triggered a flag.
Yeah, there we go. Plot flag.
Okay. So
okay, so it's weird. So
it's annoying.
It's not. Okay, it is annoying. It is. It's a weird guilty pleasure that I didn't mind watching. Like it was one of those shows where like you turn your brain off. And if you're taking it all seriously, you're gonna get mad.
Yes.
And like, yeah, she's a brat. That's all she is. But like, there are some times where like they kind of get like a human side of her. Not enough to be like this show is perfect. But I would be like, if you really want to just like shut your brain off and just kind of enjoy something for like a little while, I wouldn't mind. Like, I would say check it out just to see what it's about. Because they bring up some references to shows here and there. Because that's all she does is play video games, reads manga. So, I mean, like, here and there they'll have a reference. Sometimes you'll get a laugh out. Sometimes there's, like, a touching moment. Like, at one point, like, the brother kind of, like... They have a very small house. It's, like, you know, traditional Japanese kind of place. It's like an apartment.
Is it, like the one-room apartment?
So they have, like... Yeah, so they have, like, the walk-in doorway. You have the separate kitchen. And then one room. And he shares it with her. So at one point, I know he like he has to get work done, so he like sections off a part of the room just for her and just for him. So they kind of have their own spot. And I know at one point she kind of gets upset and like he's like, "I'm so sorry, I was being a nuisance." And they kind of like have a touching moment. Air quotes. The most touching you can get for this show. But
yeah,
I mean, it's like I said, it's one of those shows where if you want to shut your brain off and just kind of enjoy it for what it is and not try to think too deep into it, then I can see you enjoying it. But it's not something I would seek out again It was mostly, I think I bought into the hype of it being a new thing in the season.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's like from the little that I've seen of Umaru, because I haven't actually like watched the show.
Yeah.
Really, but from like just what I've seen, I would hate it. It's not. I would be so annoyed by like the brattiness.
It's not for everyone.
It's just like I just want to football punt her like into the sun.
This is not at all related to anime, but it made me think of when in school when we had to read Catcher in the Rye. I hated that book. I just wanted to punch Holden right in the face because all he did was whine the whole book, and it made me so angry.
I was so excited to read that book, and I got so disappointed when it was crap.
I hate characters that do nothing but whine. It makes me so angry. So yeah, I don't think I would be super into just whiny pants. I don't like it.
It takes me like a lot to really like delve into something that I know no one else has watched in my friend circle.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, specific people.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, like, at times, like, like Kobayashi, like, the Dragon Maid, that was a good, I just jumped into it, it was good. I enjoyed it. Some shows you get good out of it. This one, it was like a so-so. I think I even gave it, like, I'm not a big person with ratings, but I think I gave it, like, a 6 on my anime list. It was alright. It wasn't perfect. I highly doubt it'll be a masterpiece. I'm not expecting a lot from the second season. But, it was enjoyable for what it was.
Alright. Did you have more to say about it?
I'm good.
Okay.
Alright. So am I up now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I know which one you have now.
So, Jason was speaking of touching moments between siblings before. And I have quite the show to add to that sentiment.
You got a kick out of it. You did good.
All right. So, this is, I didn't even realize it until I looked at it. This is also a spring 2017 show. It was just a good season, apparently.
Wait, did they came out in the same season?
They came out in the same season.
The rumor came out.
In more than one way.
So, this is the beloved eromanga-sensei.
I'm not gonna have a trash podcast without talking about.
You can't not talk about eromanga-sensei.
It's the main reason we invited you here, Alyssa.
Because
we knew you would be able to do this, man.
I genuinely enjoyed watching the show. And that is only because I knew exactly what I was getting into. I did not expect a storyline. I did not expect anything to make sense. And I did not expect morality.
Oh my gosh.
And I expected a lot of not like that, Baka. That whole thing. And boy was I correct.
Oh boy was I correct.
I love the full circle.
Yeah, yep.
Of like me being super enraged and you're like over the moon happy. We really went full circle here today.
Listen, this was a genuinely enjoyable train wreck.
I wish I could have said that about mine.
It takes every concept that has been dragged through the mud, everything that you could make a meme out of, every stereotype, and everything to make fun of, and puts it into one anime. A nice 12-episode anime. I didn't even watch the OVA, because I didn't even know there was one until I just looked it up now. The art, I will say, is beautiful. And I'm not joking. Like, I guess because they spent so much time on fan service, they really wanted the art to look good. But all of the characters have, like, a gradient to their hair that's always there, and, like, the animation is fluid. Like, I've honestly never been so impressed with the artwork in a show. Like, the fluid animation and the coloring and everything. It's very good.
Okay, so it's got production. Good production
very
values.
good production quality. Like, astoundingly good production quality. That being said, I
haven't seen the show myself.
I don't think you would really enjoy it.
I probably wouldn't.
I've seen enough to agree with the animation.
It is.
It does look good.
It's a very well created show. I think all the effort went into the artwork and none of it to the plot. It's pretty much, there's these two characters. They're not blood related, is what they say that all the time. They're not blood related because they're technically
in heavy
not.
quotation marks.
They really want you to know that. So they had their parents got married, so they're like step siblings, and then their parents like die in an accident, so it's just the two of them. And because their parents died in an accident, the girl Sagiri, she just kind of just goes to her room and doesn't talk to anybody anymore. And in order to support the family or whatever, Masamune, the brother, he's like an author, so he's like, I'm just gonna write books and, you know, sell those and publish them and make money or whatever. They're all in like middle school and high school, and this is how he decided to support a child. But anyway,
all right, as someone who actually wants to be
already
an author,
a plot hole.
That's frustrating. That's frustrating.
This show follows a cast of famous middle schoolers. It does. So it gets better.
Are these, Jason, are these the middle schoolers that decide whether or not the love line gets to keep their...
I cannot wait to watch that with Elizabeth. Oh my god.
That's a bit of an inside joke.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it does, unfortunately.
So we got famous middle schoolers.
So, alright, so he's, he's
mean?
writing these books, and he has no hope. He thinks nobody likes his novels. And then he gets like a bit of like fan art one day, and it propels him to actually still think he hopes now he has hope he can create. So he actually does start getting published. And the thing that he actually gets published is the world's most cutest little sister, or something so stupid like that.
This is what's supporting your family.
Yes.
We're gonna write a book, and it's gonna be called The World's Cutest.
Because he
Sister,
learns, and this is almost a meta joke. He learns that when he was writing something with substance, it was never selling. Once he started writing something that was pure garbage and was just fan service, he'd start selling like crazy.
That stinks.
Yep.
This show is making me upset hearing about it.
So he has...
Just follow the show. Follow the show.
So he has a So he has an illustrator that like does like an accompanying, like she does the cover art and stuff, but he doesn't know it's a she. It just goes by the screen name of eromanga-sensei.
Someone like that he
talks to online. He talks to online. They've never met each other. The artwork is amazing. They've worked together on every single novel now. They communicate all the time, but he has never met this person, doesn't know who they are, has no idea, whatever. Spoiler alert. Eromanga-sensei is his little sister that has shut herself in her room for years now. So he really has been talking to her. He just hasn't really been talking to her. He doesn't know that, and she doesn't know that he's the author either. So they don't know they've been talking to each other. Oh.
Right.
And then, so then I even forget how the hell they figured out, but they figure out that who they are, each other, so they kind of have to work together now. One of her quirks, I guess, is that she can only draw what she sees in real life. So she spends a lot of time, like, in her underwear, standing in front of a mirror and, like, bending around kind of weird. Because she has to see something for artistic reference. She won't, like, Google image search anything. She, like, has to see it. So... She like, I don't know, she's weird like that, and that becomes something later down the line. And then we have the classic meme scene. The class president of Sagiri's class, she's like, the trope where in Japan, if you're missing like a week's worth of school because you're sick, the student or class president or whatever will come to your house and like give you the work and stuff and check on you.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So she comes over to do that. And because the sister has not come to school, and she's like, the brother answers the door because the sister never leaves the room. And she's like, hi. And he's like, who are you? Why are you here? And she's like, oh, I'm here to bring your sister's work. Is she coming back to school? And then they're like talking about how she doesn't go to school. And I don't honestly remember how they got to this part of the conversation. But
choose the words wisely.
I'm going to say the words that it was subtitled with.
Okay.
Or I could say it in Japanese and make people's hearts melt. But she, in short, says, "O chinchin daisuki dayo," repeatedly. Yeah, Liam.
This is just where the conversation went?
Yes, and she just keeps saying it. And he's like, you're in middle school. Please stop saying "O chinchin." And she's like, what? "O chinchin? O chinchin daisuki dayo." And he's like, stop it. And she keeps saying it louder and louder.
This is where
they're standing on his front porch, and there's this like 12-year-old girl screaming "O chinchin." And he's like,
I'm very happy.
He's very scared because he doesn't want his neighbors to think that he's like inviting small children over to his home to scream about male body parts. So he kind of takes the work and like slams the door. She doesn't really make much of an appearance, other than when the sister starts coming out of her shell, she like comes back over the house, and Sagiri and the other character use her as reference, meaning they lock her in Sagiri's room and strip her.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
Wait, that's a thing that... Oh my god.
They actually do that. They close the door and they don't let her out, and they take off all her clothes and like draw her and like spread her legs
Liam,
apart and like look at her. It's really weird.
You're missing a lot.
I know. So then there's this house next door to their house. And this house is strange. It has all these plants all over it. Never seen the person, whatever. It's just weird. So they start like hearing piano music from the house, and they're like, what the fuck is this? And then they think there's a ghost. So Masamune, he's like, oh, well, I don't want there to be ghost. What is this? And he like stands and he like knocks on the door for the heck of it. And like the door just opens and he goes in the house, and there's this chick just like hanging out naked playing the piano. And he thinks it's a ghost. No, it's another like teenage girl just sitting in this house by herself playing the piano naked.
As you do.
Yeah, as any sane person does.
Is this show? Wait, people watch this? This was popular?
Yes, it is actually, I have it on my anime list. Popularity number 268 and ranked 4035. This is a meme show, right? It's a meme.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But, so then she is apparently a world-famous author. And she's also a
Of course, because everyone
in this
can
show
just
is a
be
world-famous
authors in this show. That's how that works.
So they're, like,
This show's
battling
making me
for
annoyed.
publishing and all that stuff. And, you know, she's another...
That's what we have to do.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
So, she's another one that adds to the harem, and she likes him, I guess, and, like, keeps trying to flirt with him, but...
Because of course
yes,
she does.
Of course, as any sane harem character does. And, he's like, no, and he won't say why, but we all know it's because he loves his sister, because he's weird like that. And then, you know, more scenes ensue of him, like, walking in on his sister changing, and her yelling at him, and weird stuff. And then this other girl shows up, and she's, she's got, like, purple coconut hair. Like, she's cute, she's fine. But...
Purple coconut.
And she comes in, and she's like this really famous author. So Elf, the girl who is naked playing the piano, she's like a trash novelist, right? Like she doesn't really write anything of much substance. This girl,
But they're famous.
yes, this girl, she is super famous, but she writes things of substance. She's like a classy writer, right? She's also a teenager. I don't know how all this is happening, but she's like from a super rich family and like is like always wears a kimono, like is like, you know, all like proper and such, I guess. And spoiler to any of those who really care, She is the one. She's this crazy proper artist or author. She's the one that sent him his first fan mail that kept him going, and gave him the hope to keep writing. And she's his biggest fan.
Oh.
So, she.
This is the first thing you've told me about this show that's not, like, horrible.
But she's also in love with Masamune-kun. Everybody is in love with Masamune-kun.
Okay. Well, of course.
Everybody. Including the Ochinchin Daisuki Daio girl. She also is in love with Masamune-kun now. I forgot to mention that. All of these women seem to be after him, except his heart only has the place for his little sister, Sagiri.
Okay, but you call them women, but they're in middle school.
Listen, in Japan, they're legally women.
That's no.
So
I'm more annoyed by the fact that they're all like famous authors. That's not how that works.
he's like in high school and has regular contact with like a publisher, and like it's like this whole thing.
What?
I forgot to mention they have like a dream that like their like co-created novel will be like world famous or something, and they like end up seeing it like on like manga bookstore like shelves, and they're like, "Wow, we did it!" And then that they have like a party, and that's pretty much the thing. But he like then there's like some weird like, "Oh, I have to marry somebody." I don't know why. And he like really wants to be with Sagiri, but she's like, "But we're siblings." Duh. And then he's like, "I know it's weird, sorry." And then I don't know, it's
just apologize.
It's really strange. It's this...
Yeah, it's weird. I'm sorry.
He's just like they have like a it's purely for fan service. They just love each other and like won't say it, even though they're not blood related. They still just want to give that type of incestual intrigue that Japan is famous for.
Unfortunately,
yeah, it's just it's a wild ride of stereotypical harem characters that just become so outrageous that it's almost not almost, it is laughable. It's hysterical. It's honestly a well-produced show. The writing is bad enough that it's great. And I think it was on purpose. I think the show knows exactly what it is.
Because I think that makes the difference between all of this. Like, it's
show is self-aware.
It's like supposed to be a parody of all this.
I don't know if it's even supposed
nonsense.
To be a parody. I think the main thing that the main character like goes through initially of the thing that I wanted to write that was of substance isn't selling, so the thing that is of no substance starts selling. I think that's kind of the like point of the show. Ugh. But like
I know, but that's the worst thing.
Like that's the point of the show is like we're just gonna make a show that is so absolutely lackluster. A show like it's really meta, right? But
that might be kind of.
So this just in. Liam says that Eromanga-sensei is the genius show of the...
No, that's not... Don't quote me on that.
I mean, Eromanga-sensei clearly trumps, like, Monogatari, so...
Because if you tell someone that I said that without understanding the context, they're gonna be like, wait, Liam watched the show?
I mean, we have the soundbite now, so...
But...
Oh, no.
It's very... there's the beach episode. There's a lot of upskirt shots. There's a lot of clothes falling off for no reason. And, what are you doing? Yeah. Stop watching, you pervert. There's a lot of sentences that end in you pervert. You know.
A lot of sentences.
There is quite a few. I'm sure somebody has counted.
That's just a fun way to put it. Just, not just like a character says. There's just a lot of sentences that end with that in the script.
There's a lot of naked blonde girl just hanging out in her house naked. She's like an exhibitionist, I guess. I don't know. She just kind of hangs out naked all the time, and then people are like surprised when she's naked, and like they all try and get Sagiri to like hang out with them. So that's what happens is like. Masamune keeps inviting all these girls over his house, hoping that, like, Sagiri will come be friends with them, but it's really just pissing her off because she, like, wants to love her brother or whatever, and he keeps inviting all these girls over. And it's just, like, it's just this mess.
The struggle sounds so real.
So, for the previous shows, I asked, like, So what would you say makes this show trashy?
I don't think I have to answer that.
No, I kind of want to know. Okay, how about this then? Instead of that, why do you enjoy this show?
Why do I enjoy the show?
Even though it's like
Chinchin
clearly trash.
Daisuki Dayo.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good answer. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, by the way, I sent Liam the picture of her saying that.
Okay. Yep. It's good.
He was quite amused.
It's great. Oh, geez, my computer screen just went to sleep. That scared me. So, I mean, I guess what makes it trash is really
everything you've already said.
Yeah. There's no substance. It's all about this weird illicit, I guess, love between siblings and weird perverted women who are all trying to assault this man who's just trying to write a book to support his sister, but everything gets all creepy and the sister's a pervert. She just wants all these girls to be naked around her. The only way, she tells her brother, the only way she'll hang out with these girls is if they'll strip for her so she can draw them. That's how she gets her way. She's like, well, I can hang out with these girls, but they have to be naked.
Sounds fair.
That's the plot.
I think that about sums it up. I think we've probably said enough about eromanga-sensei.
10 out of 10, do recommend if you like beautiful artwork and just
trash.
Yep. It's good to just turn your brain off and enjoy it for exactly what it is and nothing that it isn't.
I'm on the Mal page for it, and there's an advertisement that says streaming starts on 4/8. That's my birthday.
Oh, there we go.
Congrats.
It started on April 8th.
There you go. Happy birthday.
That's a great...
It was meant for you. Calling your name.
But see, Liam, the art is pretty good.
So you,
listen.
As much as I want to reject this show with my entire being, my show is an ecchi harem show with good art that I finished because I kind of liked it.
I remember telling Brett about this show, and he was like, "Liam, watch this."
Yeah, that's typically the response I get from what because. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't know me personally, I am not a fan of ecchi shows. They're usually of no substance, and I'm typically sort of uncomfortable in that genre. So when I tell people that I not only finished but kind of liked No Game No Life, people are often very surprised. Yeah. Have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen it?
I watched 3 episodes and gave up. I know the rainbow-colored lolly.
Jason has seen all the ecchi stuff.
I know about the rainbow lolly.
Well, so what I like about the show is that it's basically just rainbow everything. But
no, it is very pretty. I will give it that.
Yeah. So No Game No Life is really popular, so I bet that a lot of people have seen it. So I probably don't have to really go super in depth into what it's about. But for the sake of those who haven't, it's about these two kids who are like they're NEATs. They sit at home and play video games, and they don't have jobs, and they don't have parents, and they don't have anything. And they're, like, the best at video games in the world. They're, like, on all the tops of all the leaderboards. And they just, like, hate the real world, like, having to deal with stuff, and they don't know how to deal with people, and they don't know. But they're kind of like savants, almost, where they just can't deal with anything, but they're the best at video games ever. So they get kind of sucked into this game world, not like Sword Art where it's like a video game. I don't know. I don't think they ever offer a full explanation for it, but it's just this like world, this like fantasy world where the rules of everything are decided by games. Whether that means like gambling or chess or rock paper scissors or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. like you can challenge anyone to any kind of game and then like bet something, and then the laws of nature like bend it so that happens. Like, so you physically like can't, you know, refuse if you lose. You have to like do what the terms were. And there's like 10 commandments. I don't remember what all of them are. But there's like all these rules, and as long as they obey the rules, you know, they can do whatever. So basically these two kids who were super great at video games are basically like, now we're in a world that you know, everything is decided by gaming, so let's just take over the world. which I thought was kind of interesting. The two main characters are Sora and Shiro, and Sora is the dude, and he's like a little bit older, and he is clever and conniving. He's really good at manipulating people, you know, like he does a lot of like mind games with people and stuff like that. And he's a bit charismatic, you would say. And then Shiro is like his opposite, where she's like super kudere, deadpan, but she's a genius. Like she can calculate, you know, 15 moves ahead in chess or whatever. And so that both of them basically play to each other's strengths and weaknesses to be a really good team. So they basically go about taking over the world, and they do that because there's like 16 different races. There's like humans and elves and dwarves and whatever. I don't remember all the ones, but you know, they basically join with the humans. And I think at some point they become like the king and queen of like the humans or something like that, through like playing games, you know, like betting, whatever. And then they want to basically challenge the other races so that they can be at the top. So it's only 12 episodes, and it's just basically them doing that amid tons of stupid like ecchi hijinks and, you know, bath scenes and all that. And they meet new characters and stuff like that. But that's essentially what it was. And normally, just from that kind of description, is not something you would think I would be into. But what really drew me to No Game No Life was how unbelievably colorful it is. Because I love like neon colors and bright, vibrant everything. And as soon as they get into this like world of games, that's what it looks like, you know. And it's sort of supposed to be, I guess, like a visual metaphor for how like you know, dreary and gray the real world is, and now all of a sudden they're in this world of games and everything's bright and colorful and magic. But you know, I'd say it's trashy because of all the ecchi nonsense and about how, you know, we have to be distracted by, you know, messing around in the bath for like half an episode, and I'm like, all right, well, this is what we're doing now. But what the show had going for it, with all the like, you know, games and the different rules and the way they like cheat or try and cheat or whatever, was interesting enough to get me all the way through the show, which is rare for an ecchi show of this level, you know.
I've only really seen all the looting of the lolly that the show does.
What?
You're the only person I know that says that whole sentence.
Loot the lolly?
Yeah.
Don't loot the lolly.
Oh, I thought you said looting.
No,
like,
not
like...
looting with a T. I mean looting, like
I was like, what are you
LEWD.
You're
Yeah,
stealing
that happens,
stuff,
and
man.
it's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not going to defend that. That's
Oh,
Not
eromanga-sensei,
great.
she's a lolly too. It just tends to be a thing.
great. That's
Okay. Isn't that making the show better for you, though?
No. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's really no upside to that, but it's just something that I try and ignore as much as possible.
I will agree with you though on the colorful though. Like that's something that was the whole reason I started watching the show. I just to me there was nothing compelling enough to keep me watching it, but I was only on like the 3rd episode and I just kind of gave up on it. But it was one of those things that I only started watching it because it was one of the popular ones. And
I typically don't do that.
I just kind of got bored with it. But I did really enjoy, like, the style of it while I was watching it.
You got bored with it? You like a game board?
Ha ha!
But it says something when, like, especially you, Liam, when the like the plot of it or like the stuff going on in it is enough to get past as much ecchi that is in that show.
Because it's a fair amount.
Oh yeah,
and I feel like if I watched it again, I would be surprised by how much there was.
Yeah.
Because when I watch shows like that, even like Monogatari has a lot of moments like that. Although Monogatari is brilliant, and there's way more than enough to keep me through that show.
That's another good example.
I tend to like edit that stuff out because it's not what I care about when I watch a show. So like even the first time I rewatched Bakemonogatari with you and Matt I was like, Senju Gahara spends half of the first 2 episodes in her underwear, and I was just like, I don't remember any of this. This is not what I remember about the show being good. So I feel like if I watched No Game No Life again, I would be surprised at how much I was able to get through in terms of the like ecchi stuff. But yeah, I genuinely was interested enough in everything else that was going on. The whole like conquest and the games keep like ramping up. Like the first thing they do, I think, is like literally rock paper scissors.
I do remember that part.
And and like Sora uses some sort of like mind games trick. He says like, all right, we're gonna play rock paper scissors, but I'm only going to choose rock. And then then whoever he's like playing against is just like, wait.
So
is he lying,
this?
though?
It's like
Maybe
this
he's lying.
in Princess Bride, where which cup is poisoned, and then the character just destroys themselves. Talking about
yeah, pretty much like that. So and I think it's a little bit clever in that way, just the way they sort of do things, and it's not always it's goofy a lot of the time, and but it's fine. It was interesting enough to me to get me all the way through it, to the point where if they made a second season, I would watch it.
That does say something, because I haven't watched
Yeah.
I haven't watched the OVA of eromanga-sensei, and if they made a second season of either of the ones I talked about, I probably wouldn't watch it.
You probably would or wouldn't. Actually, they did make a sequel. They made a movie, I think. Or it's not a sequel. It's like a spin-off or something.
The
like that.
alternate reality video game ones always tend to blend into the same show for me, because there's so many of them now.
Yeah, that hit like a fad.
Yeah. Although we did get Konosuba out of that, which is a masterpiece in itself.
That's a whole other topic.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about like the isekai, like the main characters go to a different
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
fantasy world or whatever. There's a lot of those, and it's
I mean,
like,
specifically to the video game ones, like what Sword Art Online just created a fad of.
Yeah, because like Sword Art wasn't even like the first to do it. It's just the one that made it popular, I guess. But yeah, and I don't think it's actually a video game world in No Game No Life. It's like an actual fantasy world, but everything is just games
got
anyway.
looped into that bandwagon.
Yeah. And I don't know, isekai in general, like, there's definitely, it's popular, which means that most of what you see is pretty bad, but there are ways to do it right.
No, I've definitely seen some good ones in their own respects.
Yeah, so that's No Game No Life. I would recommend it. Pretty much, it's pretty. If you like the colors, go for it. If you don't like the colors, you're not going to enjoy the show because they're everywhere and they don't stop. If you can handle ecchi, or if you like ecchi, go for it. There's plenty of that here too. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting enough to be watchable for sure. But yeah, still kind of a trash ecchi show.
Yeah.
At its core. Yeah. What's up?
What studio did You Game No Life?
Madhouse did, and
okay.
I learned that today. Because I was just looking, I was looking at it again a little bit because I watched it a couple years ago and I haven't watched it since. But I went to the page today to look up, what studio did it, because I wanted to talk about that. It's Madhouse. Madhouse is freaking fantastic. So that gets a thumbs up.
So I just looked up the studio that did eromanga-sensei, they've made a lot of classics.
Well,
it's A1.
It's A1.
So
yeah.
they did.
Well, A1
They
is
did
one
Sword
of those.
Art. They did Ao no Exorcist. They did Fairy Tail, Erased, Anohana, Black Butler.
Well,
Fairy Tail.
See, A1 is one of those like.
Oh shit! They did Shinsei Kayori too. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they recently worked with Trigger to make.
Yes,
Darling in
I
the
just
Franxx.
saw that one. That one just came up. Wow. So you
Well,
go
the thing about
from
A1
from friggin' they also made that's why because they made My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute.
Oh,
yeah,
Oremo?
so,
Yeah.
But it's weird to go from Shinsei Kayori to eromanga-sensei.
Well, see, here's the thing that A1 does, and I think JC staff does this too to a certain extent, where, like, they make, like, 20 trash shows so they can have the budget to make a really good show.
They made Blend S too, which is a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Oh, but they made that famous show.
Yeah.
That one. I
No,
love that one.
I'm scrolling through everything. They worked
okay.
with Shelter too. That
Yeah.
video.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool though. You learn something.
It
new
makes me
every
so
day.
happy that another human being has seen Shinsei Kayori.
I love that
because
show.
I never meet people who've seen it, and I love that show.
Shout out to that show.
Watch Shinsei Coyote from the New World.
If you
Watch
take
that.
anything out of this podcast,
Don't watch
no,
all this garbage. Watch that.
Shinsei Kayori is actually beautiful.
You know what's
It's
funny?
thoughtful and deep and artistic, and none of this that we've talked about today is that.
yeah. Was that Jason?
When you since we're going through the studios, I thought, I should take my favorite show from today, go through the studio, and I don't know any of these, and the ones I do know, I did not watch it for very long.
Yeah.
So
well, it was what? It's like X's or something like that.
I forget now.
What's the name of it? It's like XES.
ZEXCS.
All right, let me.
That's what it is.
Zexus.
Yeah, and they've made like 20 shows and none of them are interesting.
Remember the one demo
I
video
watched
we
one
watched?
of them. I watched the from me to you or whatever. Not Tsukite Inayo.
Oh, you saw that one
I
too?
watched that
That's
one.
Say
I
Love
Say
I
You.
I
did
Love You,
not
there we
make
go.
it through that. I didn't make it
Oh,
there.
that's
Say
the-
I Love You. I watched.
Yeah.
The art is weird on that one. I will say.
That's the demo
Yeah.
one. Remember?
Mm-hmm. I do remember.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at Zek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at that. That's the only one that I know.
There's a lot of heavy hitters in here.
Oh, they did Akunohana, which I've been thinking
There's
about
a
watching.
lot of heavy
but
hitters here,
that's-
says Jason.
What? Diabotic Lovers More Blood? Oh, come on.
Oh, there's the OVA. Here we go.
Oh, you want to hear something really funny now that we're at the end of this thing?
What's that?
So I'm going through the episodes, and I'm on episode 6. And I look over, and it says 6.5. And I'm like, they snuck one in.
Wait,
Those sons of bitches.
Wait, did they do a recap?
Yeah,
They
there's
had
a
a
recap.
recap episode, yep.
Oh my gosh!
I was like,
What?
you serious?
They had a recap episode and a show of 12 episodes?
15 minutes apiece.
Just in case
Yep.
you forgot.
So, if you want
watch
to
those.
listen, if you want to just see what I went through this morning, just watch the recap. Don't finish it. Just watch the recap.
Wow, I found what looks like a gem here.
What's that?
I've never heard of it, but just the cover art is astounding. It's Kizuna Koi no Kara Sawagi. It's a friggin' manga, but it
Oh shit!
Those are some.
I might know
there's some
this.
burly men,
White
and
chin
they're a
dudes.
mostly happy couple, but when Ranmaru finds lipstick on Enjoji, he becomes suspicious and leaves in a huff. Enjoji follows Ranmaru throughout the day. As they do so, the two men think about their past and their uncertain future. Well,
Riveting.
now that sounds...
I have goosebumps.
Didn't I tell you? Did I tell you there were some heavy hitters in
Wow. This definitely looks like the best studio I've ever heard.
this thing? This has a higher score than Dialogue Lovers.
Wow.
I might as well just watch
I
this.
think, but you really can't say much about scores because people don't know what they're talking about.
That's true. Like, I gave
I'm pretty-
eromanga-sensei an 8 because it was enjoyable. Not
I'm
because
pretty
it
damn
was
sure
good.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, myself included. I rate things like
By how much I
Partly-
enjoyed them.
how much I like them and partly by how good they are, which doesn't make any sense. I don't like their out of 10.
I mean, I agree with Alyssa about Eromanga-sensei.
Yeah,
I haven't
Alright, so
even
it's time
seen
to,
it.
Time to stop picking on studio execs, even though they can't name themselves right. That's
That's going to be the
Okay,
guy that
one
takes
more-
the video down.
one more.
Claimed.
One more thing about them. It's the kind of name for a studio when you like fall asleep on the
Yeah,
keyboard and then you wake up and that's what's
It's
there.
just like someone hacking up a loogie, like,
Sounds like a Kingdom Hearts villain.
it sounds like somebody sucking up blood from the main character. That's where
I'm
they
pretty
got
sure
it
I heard that. I'm pretty sure I heard those noises a lot during my thing.
Probably. You may have
Take a
repressed
drink
them.
every
Might as well
time
take
you
it-
hear
yeah,
the studio.
Might as well take a drink.
Every time you hear the
What?
studio name as an onomatopoeia in the show, take a drink.
Oh my gosh.
I might not just like. I'm just not going to sleep tonight and try this drinking game out. I don't know. I haven't slept
I'll
since.
visit
Might
you
as
in
well
the
keep
hospital
going.
tomorrow, Jason.
Yeah.
We can watch Love Live there. It's fine. They give me a good TV.
Be
Oh my
like,
gosh.
excuse me, nurse.
I have to put my ecchi rom-com on, please.
It heals his heart. Okay, we've derailed quite a bit here.
So we got through. That's fine. So we've gotten through everybody's shows. So what I like to do at the end of podcasts is talk about like, what we've been watching recently, and what we've been up to recently in within the realm of anime-ish stuff. Not pertaining to the things that we already talked
Yes.
about today.
Yeah.
Especially because I Jason's disappointed. He wanted to talk more about Diablo. I think you secretly like that show. I think
yeah.
you're very excited.
I think I could do another
He's
half
excited to stay up late and watch season 2.
hour. Hey, I got a season 2, man. People want that season 3 as well.
Okay. All right. So in final analysis, should you watch Diabolic Lovers? Should we recommend that to people?
Fuck it, why not?
What kind of answer is that?
Why not?
A defeated,
Alright,
a defeated answer.
This is a better question. Who should watch Diabolic Lovers?
Friends.
And people
Okay,
who hate
listen.
themselves.
In all, okay, that's why I watched it. Listen, in all honesty, though, Liam, I don't think you would. I know you have more class than that. Alyssa, I think you and me would have a great time watching it.
I would probably love it, honestly.
It's so bad.
I'm officially uninvited to the Diabolic Lovers.
Would you
viewing
like to
party.
come
Listen,
to the
that's up to you.
Eromanga-sensei viewing party?
I'm down for either.
Personally, I would probably
It's both at once. There are 2 different televisions.
Oh my gosh! And they have to compete for like how loud they are. Personally, I would probably watch Diabolic Lovers over.
Oh, so
Eromanga
you
Sensei,
prefer male
honestly.
fan service over female fan service? I
That's
understand.
not what I'm
Liam.
saying. That's not what the comment that I'm making here. I prefer neither of them. Let's see. Do I want vampire dudes or do I want middle schoolers? Huh. That's not. I don't want any.
They're not just middle schoolers. They're famous and erotic middle schoolers.
That should not be in the same sentence.
But it is.
I'm gonna go drown myself.
I'm gonna have to really edit the hell out of this podcast.
I don't know. It's
More than I already have
live
to.
and in stereo. Actually, no, it's recorded in mono.
Liam, save us. Liam, save us. You're the host.
Okay. All right. So, who should watch Diabolic Lovers? People who want to get drunk.
There we go.
Yeah.
and
For
hang
alcoholics
out with their
everywhere.
buds. People who want to wake up the next morning and not remember it. That's who should watch
That's a
Diabolic
good-
Lovers.
That's a good way to advertise it.
Who should watch Love Tyrant?
somebody who likes comedic shows that are nonsensical and a bad parody, but just full of crazy characters. It was very funny. I will say I laughed out loud by myself several times.
Mm-hmm. So someone who's had
Yes,
a tough day
and
at
just
work
wants to shut their brain off and watch
and-
something nonsensical but funny.
and doesn't want to start thinking about like Serial Experiments
No.
Lane.
No.
That's who should watch. That's who should watch
Yes.
Love Tyrant. All right, I would recommend. I would recommend Heavy Object to someone who likes buddy cop movies, and not in particular to mecha fans. If that's what you're coming to Heavy Object for, you will be disappointed. But if you're coming for some laughs, some like stupid, dumb nonsense, you know, it'll be all right. Who should watch Umaru?
I would say the same as Love Tyrant, because in all honesty, like it's kind of one of those like you just shut your brain off. I mean, if you're easily annoyed by like the bratty children kind of deal,
Yeah.
well, I think most people are. But I mean, like I said, like it's.
I mean, it
one of
was
those things
popular though.
Obviously, people connected with it in some way, where you got it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say whoever's just want to shut their brain off, maybe not have to have something really plot heavy. Something that's kind of just like you can basically come in at any point. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal.
So people who can tolerate Umaru should watch
Basically,
Umaru.
yeah. If you can tolerate her, you're good.
I'm not one of those people. I would rather watch Love Tyrant if I'm looking to turn my brain off. All right. Who should watch eromanga-sensei?
Anyone who's secretly in love with their sister.
Little bit of wish fulfillment there.
So, somebody who
Jesus.
appreciates really good artwork and not good plot. It was definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. It was something I don't like to say that I had a good time watching, but I did.
You're quite forthcoming about it today.
No, it was an enjoyable experience because I took it at face value.
Yeah.
I would recommend it to anybody who knows what they're getting into and can tolerate it. Like, if you can tolerate a bunch of middle schoolers parading around in underwear, but there's jokes about it, that sounds weird when I say it out loud.
That sounds really bad when you say it out loud.
That's essentially what
If you're
though.
if you're a meme lord,
Yes.
you're a meme lord with a high tolerance for garbage, watch eromanga-sensei. That's who should watch it.
Once you said that, that was immediately my description of myself, a meme lord with a high tolerance for garbage. So that's probably why
I did introduce you as the trash
so
queen.
That's why I enjoyed it, because I'm a meme lord with a high tolerance for garbage. You can dive headfirst into a solid dumpster fire with eromanga-sensei.
Mm-hmm. So I would recommend No Game No Life to people who like rainbows, to people who like ecchi, or to people who would like to see some games mixed with that, Like if you want mind games, watch Death Note, watch there's plenty of shows you can watch.
Speedgrapher.
But if you're Speedgrapher a bit, but if you're in the mood for that paired with ecchi and neon rainbows, No Game No Life. It's even if you're not an ecchi guy, it's tolerable because few people have lower tolerance for that than I do. So if I can make it through it, you can as well. And just repress the memories of the parts you didn't like.
Every day, man.
Every day.
Every day, bro.
All right. So last thing we're gonna do. What have you guys been watching or doing recently? In your nerd lives.
Getting ready for the seasonal podcast. That's hopefully going to be seasonal and not disappear.
Yeah, at the end of the what are we on the fall season now?
Yeah, so it's like October-ish.
We're on
October-ish.
No, we're on summer 2018.
Yeah,
now.
But I mean, so October-ish is when it ends.
Yeah, so when summer's over, we're gonna do a seasonal podcast where we're gonna have myself and Jason and Brett.
Brett back.
We'll have Brett back, and we're going to talk about
a few different shows.
A handful of shows that aired. We're going to talk about them after they conclude, so we can have full thoughts on them and stuff like that.
Getting ready on them, Angel of Death, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Spoilers.
should be that's one. By the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm getting ready on that. And, really not much else in the anime realm besides video games.
Okay.
So yeah.
Alyssa, what have you been up to?
I'm gonna relive my trauma of a couple weeks ago. I went against someone in particular's advice to not read Metamorphosis and read Metamorphosis. And
like Kafka's?
Liam, don't read Metamorphosis.
Are you talking about Franz Kafka?
No.
Oh.
Liam, it's above ecchi.
It's a hentai.
Oh. Okay.
But it's a story that never gets better. And
okay. I'm not interested.
I had PTSD after reading it. I was devoid of all emotion for like a solid 3 days.
I was proud
of
myself.
But you guys are like
yeah,
gonna make a channel about that stuff.
It's really terrible. Like I cried just sitting there reading it. It was terrible. So I'm still recovering from that.
No.
That for anybody who has read that, they all know what I'm talking about. That was just terrible.
I was very proud.
It was
that she should have took me seriously.
It was so terrible, and I read it all the way till the end in like one sitting, and I was so upset about it.
I feel like we should talk about that.
Listen, we'll
not
have,
here.
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah, these guys. I don't know if you guys have anything up or out, but these guys are gonna have a channel where they are going to discuss a particular
things that Liam is not safe to talk about
of Japanese animation.
You go bump in the night.
Yeah, things that I things that I would find a bit unsavory. Yeah. Not what I come to watch anime for.
But
right.
yeah.
Anything good? Anything besides that?
I recently got
like
really into Project Diva.
Okay.
Oh
yeah. So that's been a lot of my life. That was definitely quite interesting. I have lots of hand cramps from that, but I really, really am very into that lately, so that's good. I guess that's anime related. It's Miku.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, video games are fine.
I like the vast difference of both things that got you into.
Yeah, and
the good and the bad.
I've been neglecting Monogatari and Boku no Hero because I have to get back into both of those and finish them, and I'm procrastinating. But those are the two shows I'm actively watching that I'm in the middle of that I have to finish.
Mm-hmm. Well, Monogatari you don't have to watch all at once.
I'm almost done.
Perfectly.
I'm halfway through second season.
Oh, cool!
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm at the summary like midpoint of second season.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Monogatari is perfectly digestible. You don't have to watch it all at once. It's cut up in nice little chunks.
I don't think I could watch it all at once. I think my brain would explode.
Yeah,
we tried. Me and Liam, we watched a lot in one day.
Jason and I watched all of second season.
I do love it though. I do love.
I'm so glad you do because it's absolutely my favorite.
What about you,
As
Sir
for
Liam?
me, what's up?
What about you, Sir Liam? What do you got cooking?
I recently spent the last 3 weeks. Well, I spent 2 weeks in Canada and then 1 week in
That's
Florida,
not anime related. That's extrovert related.
With my dearly beloved. Okay, all right. Well, okay.
This is American anime. Okay.
Before I went, I watched Gunbuster, which was freaking phenomenal. I love Gunbuster. Jason was saying before, I'm getting a little bit more into mecha now. Gunbuster is a really good one. It's 6 episodes. It's really short, but all of it's awesome. It's from 1988. It's Gainax. It's like basically like Evangelion before Evangelion, pretty much. So if you're a mecha person, you haven't seen Gunbuster, definitely do. I watched most of Darling in the Franxx, which I'm not done with yet. I think I might write like a script and do like a whole like review or something about Darling in the Franxx, because I think it was interesting enough to warrant that, and I've been taking notes, and I'm not done with it yet, so I'm going to finish before I make any decisions, but I'm like 5-ish episodes from the end. But I like what I've seen so far. I watched. It's not anime, but it's based on an anime. I watched recently the new Voltron on Netflix, the like remake of the like old cheesy '80s mecha Power Rangers show. Really good. It's one of those shows that, you know, I can't pick a favorite character because they're all really great, except Lotor is probably my favorite character. It's mecha, but it's got a lot of like really well written characters, and the voice acting is really good. Probably in part because it's because this one was done by DreamWorks, so it's built to be dubbed in English. But yeah, Voltron's really good. We watched the whole thing. That's up to season 7 got released recently, and me and Corey watched up to through season 7. So we've seen everything that's out so far. I can personally recommend that. And I think it's the kind of thing that like it's technically not anime, but it's something that people who like anime would enjoy in the same vein as like Avatar: The Last Airbender, stuff like that. So that's what I've been up to recently. I now own Final Fantasy 15 featuring the Backstreet Boys. I bought a Nintendo Switch when I was in Canada, and it blue screened this morning.
It's because it was
so
Canadian.
I'm going to be sending
Nintendo of America bricked your device because it was Canadian.
Did it really though?
That's probably not why, but it did really brick this morning. It really did blue screen this morning, so I'm going to be sending that back to Nintendo, and they're going to fix it for me. I was on the phone for like an hour this morning trying to get that sorted out. Excuse me?
Yeah, well, Liam, your dad works in Nintendo, so it's fine.
Oh, my uncle does too.
Yeah,
I'll tell him to put in.
Very cool. Yeah, they probably know each other.
They work in the same
Is
department.
your Uncle Reggie?
Yeah, Uncle Reggie.
Uncle Reggie.
And
yeah, my dad's Miyamoto, so
yeah.
it's fine.
All right. Well, I've said about everything that I've got to say. What about you guys? You got anything? Any closing remarks? Anything else you want to talk about?
Thank you for sitting through this. If you did.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
I would love
Absolutely.
if you guys would have me on again at some point. Obviously not every time.
No, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, and the way I want to do podcasts is that like I want to get people who like are interested in the thing being talked about. So when I eventually do a podcast about mecha, I'm definitely going to invite Travis.
That's not my mecha's not my thing. However, if you do want to do a visual novel one, like we talked about, hit me up.
I'm down.
Sure.
Because I definitely know a lot about that.
Okay, we should do that. I think we can each like pick a visual novel and then talk about that, because I definitely want to. I would love to talk about
Dibs on School Days.
Okay, so we can figure that out. Yeah.
Oh, I have mine already.
Oh,
I got 9 black lovers.
You can go and play down with Malik Lovers, and then we'll know how good the visual novel is compared to.
I'll come back like
thing.
crying, like it was a masterpiece.
Oh my gosh. Well, see, but if you do that, then you're going to be so angry at the anime for being so bad.
Then he's just going to go on another tirade. Angry.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, but thanks a million to anyone who sat through this long podcast. Although we will be editing out all of the technical difficulties. So
much love.
You'll.
I said much
What's
love.
up?
Love much.
And if there's any closing remark that I have, it's Ochinchin daisuki da yo. That's
it, ladies and gentlemen.
It's her personality. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.